Good morning, or good afternoon as the case may be. What we're going to do here is apply a preformed line products conductor splice over some ACS arc conductor, and we're going to assume that the conductor is damaged. This will be about the center point. Let's assume it's been shot, gunshot or some conductor burning. We've got some conductor damage in this area right here. If it is, the conductor is damaged by gunshot, just take, if the wires are sticking up, just cut them off with a piece with some side cutters, or tape them back down if they want to lay back down along the other wires. And then put a roll of tape or a piece of tape around them just to keep the individual wires that are broken, keep them in place so that when we put the splice on, we won't have a tendency to unwind the wires that are broken. What's very important about this conductor splice, since it's going to do two things, it's going to hold the conductor together, it's going to repair it back to 100% electrically as well as mechanically. So mechanically it's going to hold it together, and also electrically, which means we've got to wire brush the conductor. In this case, I'm going to use the Cyclone cleaning brush from Preform Line Products Company. It's got bristles that go 360 degrees all the way around the conductor. The two halves of it are held together with nylon strapping, and they're riveted. The two halves are riveted together with these nylon straps. And you'll see here we've got to wire brush the conductor the entire length. I'm starting in the center, which don't necessarily have to. The entire length of the conductor splice. I've got the conductor splice resting right under the conductor here, so I know how long to wire brush it. It may help you in doing this in the field to take a magic marker or some kind of marker or a piece of tape, measure the length of the splice, and then take a marker or a piece of tape and mark the ends of the splice. So you do wire brush enough of the conductor, and so that we'll be able to apply enough inhibitor to get around the conductor. Because this is electrical, we've had to wire brush the conductor. We've got all the way around the conductor with this Cyclone cleaning brush. Now we apply the inhibitor. It's very important to apply an inhibitor after the splice, or after we apply clean the conductor, I'm sorry. Take an approved inhibitor. I put a bunch of it on a rag here. Put the inhibitor on. The length of that splice. You get the idea here. This is to keep the conductor from oxidizing, as you well know. Now the application of the splice itself. It's always easier with preformed products to apply the larger set of rods first. So I'm going to take, by that I mean the number of rods in a subset. With this splice, we have four subsets. 3 subsets with 3 rods in it, and 1 subset with 2 rods. So take the subset with 3 rods. The conductor is broken here. Here's the damaged part of the conductor. And begin wrapping the splice on. You don't have to finish one whole subset. You can start the other subset on. Just line up the marks at the part of the broken conductor. Take the third subset, again lining up the marks at the broken area of the conductor. And make the wraps. Lost the microphone for a second, so hang on. I want to point something out here. After I get this last subset on, there's a subset of 2 rods. To make sure there's enough gap to wrap the last set of rods on. Jim, if you want to follow me to the right here. Here's the first set of rods that I put on. This is the second set of rods. Notice how the second set of rods is being fed into the rods that are already on. The next set, feeding them into the rods that are already on. What that's going to do is leave enough gap. Notice how all these wires or all these rods are together. There's a nice gap here for the last set of rods to be applied. Now follow me down to this end and you may get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Here's the first set of rods that was on. If I take, let me back these off here so you can see. The next set, this set of rods is feeding onto bare conductor. So what it wants to do is create more of a gap here. We don't want to put that set of rods on. We want to feed rods into rods that are already on. Now that would be this last set of rods. See, as I'm feeding into rods that are on. Feeding into the set of rods that are on. That's going to keep a gap for us. It's going to keep these rods all together. The next set. Into the rods that are on. That'll maintain a large enough gap. All these rods are together, maintaining a large enough gap here for the last set of rods to be wrapped on. Once we get this far, Jim, if you'll follow me down this end, can you see the ends of the rods? Take that first set of rods. I'm going to snap the ends in place with the heel of my hand. The next set of rods, and again, feeding them into the rods that are already on. Third set of rods. Maybe I can't feed this next set of rods on. So what I'm going to do, without using the tool, is split the wires. That subset of 3, I split down to 2 rods and 1 rod. With thumb pressure or the heel of your hand, it's a little easier to snap 2 or 1 rod in rather than all 3 wires. I'm going to do the same thing with this last set. Split them. How far? Till they separate distinctively. I've got 1 wire here. Take the last set of 2 rods. And with thumb pressure, lock those in. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Jim, if you want to follow me on this. Take any set here, that first set that was wrapped on. Second set, feed that set in. See, the rods are feeding into the next set. I want to separate these here. Take 2 and 1. Doesn't make any difference if I put the 2 on first or the 1 on first. Last set of rods, 2-wire. If you can't get these white rods in place, you may need a screwdriver, but you can see by separating the wires, knock it down to 3 wires or 2 wires, just separate them. You're still not hurting the product or the splice, and the application is completed. So again, going over it quickly, important to tape the individual conductor wires down that are broken. Just get them out of your way, put a roll of tape around them so they don't come up when you're putting the splice on. Wire brush the conductor, and then use an approved inhibitor after wire brushing. Then wrap the splices on. Remembering to, as you put the first subset on, wrap the next set of rods and have that second set of rods and each consecutive set after that flow into the rods that are already in place. That will ensure that you've got enough gap when you complete the application and snap the ends in. And again, snapping the ends in, you can separate the wires, the individual wires of each subset, and it's easier to put 1 or 2 wires on than it is to put all 3 wires on. And that's the completed application of the Freeform Line Products Conductor Splice. Thank you.